Amazing stuff. Beautiful. If you are just joining us, welcome to the Real Talk. It's the second episode already, and we are super excited to have you on board. Remember, we are discussing when is the right time for people to date, and this is a super hot one. You can join us on Facebook. We are at the Zambian Youth Platform, on Twitter as well, and on our YouTube channel. I am so excited. I am your host for this lovely discussion today, Lumbe Jeremiah Mlanda. I am not alone though. I am with the lovely co-host, Dr. Chimunya Mwinde. Hi, Chimunya, how are you doing?
Hi, Jeremiah. How are you?
I am super excited. It's hot in Lusaka, but I'm so excited. I'm hoping that the real talk calms me down.
Yes. Today we are diving into a very amazing topic that I believe will be very beneficial to not only the young people, but even the older people in this nation and even the nations outside.
Exactly. And remember, the Real Talk comes to you every Friday at 2 p.m. Central African time. And if you are in the eastern part of Africa, we come to you at 3 p.m. exactly. Now, we had a very important topic last week. I want to take you, Chimunya. What was your key takeaway home? What was your key take home point from last week's topic? I had a lot of people coming to my DM about that topic. What was your take home point from that topic?
Okay, thank you very much. My take home message last week we were looking at the topic of why people cheat, right? And for me, the conversation brought me to a place where I understood that in an environment where people are cheating, it breeds an environment of unfaithfulness, which is an environment that has the ability to uh, increase the risk of infection because, truth be told, relationships nowadays are quite sexual in nature. So when people indulge in cheating, it increases the risk of sexually transmitted infections.
Yeah,
Thank you.
beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. I like that. Victor, what was your key take home point? I know you digested a lot from last week's topic, but I want your key take home points. What was the highlight for you?
Thank you, Jeremiah. So, from last week's discussion, I think the message that we're sending across to the adolescents is that in indulging themselves in a multiple concurrent sexual relationship, like Inchiminya has said, exposes them to a risk of acquiring HIV, because when they are in a multiple concurrent relationship, the people who are acquiring HIV in that stage, they are in what is known as acute HIV infection, and so they have a very high viral load. So the risk of transmission is very high in that stage. So they are in a pool of a lot of viruses, a pool of a high VO, and risk of transmission is very high. So we encourage the adolescents to look out for this and be able to take preventive measures by way of safer sex practices.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. And to our viewers out there, please let us know where you are joining us from. Get typing, get asking the questions. Remember, today we are discussing when is the right time for people to start dating. Now, without any further ado, I would like for our guests for this topic to introduce themselves. Remember, we are discussing when is the right time for people to start dating. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend that we are live. I will start with Faith. Faith, introduce yourself, where you are joining us from, and yeah, we'll pass it on to Victor and we'll get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Jeremiah, and it's a pleasure to join you and my comrades, my colleagues, Victor and Muinde. It's a pleasure to be in this platform and to discuss such heavy and very impactful topics like the one we are having today. My name is Faith Fao. I'm from Kenya, and currently I'm in the coastal side of the country. So there's just a swimming pool right behind me. So if you can hear some noise, kindly pardon me. I'm a sexual and gender-based violence specialist. I work for AMREF, and I do a lot of programmings and interventions around adolescent and youth sexual reproductive health and gender-based violence, especially ending female genital mutilation. So over to you, and it's a pleasure to be here and to discuss such topics. Over to you,
Yeah,
Jerome.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. We are super excited to have you. And please say hi to our brothers and sisters in Kenya. Victor, please introduce yourself as well.
So I'm a pediatric ART and adolescent clinical mentor. And so I'm basically involved in sexual reproductive health, system strengthening for adolescents. And yeah, basically that's what I am doing currently, and I'm in Lusaka.
Beautiful. The capital city of Zambia. My lovely host, please introduce my lovely co-host, please introduce yourself as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeremiah. My name is Dr. Nchimunya Mwinde. I am a medical doctor and I am located in Lusaka also. Thank you.
Beautiful, great stuff. And I am your host, Lumbe Jeremiah Mulanda, here in the capital of Zambia, Lusaka itself. And we are super excited. Please, if you're just joining us, let us know where you're joining this lovely show from. Remember, it is The Real Talk, and we have a real topic today. When is the right time for people to start dating? This is a very, very important topic, and it got me thinking. I'll come to you, Nchimunya. Do you even think that there's a right time to start dating? Because if you ask me, I'm thinking it's when I start feeling things, things start moving, I can't breathe anymore, then I think it's the right time. But do you think there is even the right time? When is the right time for someone to start dating?
Thank you, Jeremiah. That's a very interesting question. Understanding really what dating is, where you understand that it's the stage of a romantic relationship where two people, agree to begin to engage in activities together. Yeah. So to really say that there is a right time or a right age to start dating, I feel it is too blurry. We can't really tag an age, neither can we tag a time. But there's much more that is involved for one to want to get into a relationship cautiously. Yes, so there's much more to really look into than just narrowing it down to those two aspects. Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe that even as we're going through the conversation, those points are going to come out, and we'll be able to really understand when really somebody can get into a relationship.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Victor, I'm going to come to you. How do we define dating? And I know my young people out there are really looking forward to this. How do we define dating?
So dating is simply having an opportunity to know a person without being sexually involved with that person. So that's basically dating, just getting to know someone and having an acquaintance relationship without having any intimacy involved in that. That's basically what dating is. And maybe just before I move away from that, like Dr. Nchimunya has mentioned about the age appropriate for dating. If you look at our laws in the country, I don't know about Kenya for faith, but there is what is called defilement. There's 16 years old. If you're having a sexual relationship with somebody who is 16 years old, you are liable to being prosecuted. And so when you look at that age limit, also applies for consent for HIV testing, and also the age for marriage. So when you look at these, it also gives you an idea of what then would be an appropriate time for one to engage in dating with the purpose of having a relationship.
Beautiful. And I know you have brought in a very, very important component, and I like that. The issue of consent, the issue of age appropriate dating. That's a very, very important topic that I feel we are taking advantage of as young people. I'm going to come to you, Faith. How is the scenario in the eastern part of Africa? How would you define dating in Kenya? Is there even a right time or age for dating in your context?
Well, thank you, Jeremiah. I think I'm going to pick it from what Victor has said. I partly agree with what Victor has said when he defined dating as not involving intimacy. But then I feel, and this is based on what I see and the interactions I see, especially with adolescents, young people, and even young adults, where young adults are 30 to 35, thereabout. Um, Depending on the cohort, and when I'm talking about the cohort, there's 15 to 18, 19 to 25, 26 to 30, 31 to 35, depending on the cohort. Then they define dating differently. And also, depending on the cohort, there can be intimacy involved, knowing that probably they have passed a certain stage where legally they are allowed to date. And I'll bring it still the issue of consent. In Kenya, um, there's a legal framework within the law that somebody who is below 18 is not supposed. We know sex can be an outcome of dating for those people who have already agreed that that is the path that they are taking. So, if you're going to base dating in terms of the right time for you to start, then we also have to consider the legal framework within each countries. For Kenya, if at all sex or intimacy is going to be involved, then anybody who has not attained their 18th birthday will not be the right candidate for dating, for instance. And I just want to ask myself, as much as I know that this is something that 15-year-olds are having, 16, 17-year-olds are having, I will want to ask myself that what is it that you want to achieve from dating? Because there's a reason why also this one comes with age. There is the emotional growth, there is the body growth, there is the physical growth, how you reason. There are other variables and factors that also determine the right stage to date. And probably I feel that's why the legal framework kinds of gives you this balloon and umbrella where you will feel safe that you are probably done with maybe primary studies, you are probably at the right mental state for you to consider dating, for example. So I'm going a bit with what Victor has said, but it's also blurry the way Mwinda was saying. But if you're going to consider legal framework, then it depends per country. If a country says that 18 years and above is you're being considered as a citizen and adult, then that remains to be the right age, for example. And of course, I know of 25-year-olds who still feel they are not ready for them to explore that stage, because dating is a stage. And when you talk about the stage, two people come together and they have to evaluate each other whether they are compatible in terms of settling down in marriage or something like that. It's always, there has to be a long term, effect to it, which is always marriage. So age is a factor for you to evaluate each other. Over to you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, beautiful. I love how you have broken that down. And what I'm getting from what you're saying, Faith, is that there's no such thing as the right time. This thing just comes with growth. And then what I also love about what you've said is it comes with the intention behind you dating. Like, why are you getting into that relationship? I will now invite Dr. Monde. I know you interact with a lot of young people. What are some of the current issues that are happening around young people and dating these days?
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so when it comes to dating and young people, you find that, like what Faith has already mentioned, to say that there is an age appropriate, and also understanding the reason why you want to get into a relationship. I've come to understand with the interaction I've had that most young people often get into a relationship as a result of peer pressure. So you find that because the people I'm hanging out with are in relationships, I also want to know what it feels like to be in a relationship. And oftentimes, when people get into relationships in that vein, you find that the relationship is more of one-sided. It's driven one-sided because this person may not be mature yet, to get into a relationship. And then you find that it's easy for them to fall into making mistakes that can actually dent their lives going on forward. Yes, so most young people have to really come to a place where they understand the reason why they get into a relationship, because these things often have a great bearing on your life in the long run.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yes. So the next question that we're going to get into is really, I would like to hear even from Mr. Victor Musonda, really what are some of the cultural issues surrounding dating? Is there an appropriate, are we supposed to inform our family? Is there a proper age difference, when it comes to dating? What do you have to say concerning that?
All right, thank you, Doc. I'm going to be speaking from what Faith has said and also what you've just highlighted for asking the question. So, when you look at the cultural aspects of dating, you are trying to also to contrast it with what happens in the Western world, in the Western countries. In Western countries, you can actually, a boy, maybe 10 years, can actually, inform the parents to say, I've brought my girlfriend, and they will take it as a girlfriend because of the way they have defined what dating is. Like I mentioned, it's just a friendship. But then, picking up from what Faith had said, when you're going to date, you're going to define what you want. So if you're going to start dating, for example, when you're 21, you are dating for the purpose of a long-term relationship, and which may also lead into marriage. So when you are going to marry these two with a cultural, aspect of dating, in our context, it's taboo to introduce a girlfriend or boyfriend to your parent to say, this is my boyfriend that we're dating. That is not culturally acceptable. Now, because of that, and what adolescents and young people are exposed to, they now date, and the dating is now escalating into an intimate relationship without the parents knowing. So this is where we are having challenge with controlling or even supervising or parenting our adolescents. So it's not culturally acceptable in our context until when a person has reached an age which is appropriate for them to get marriage. And there are those steps that are supposed to be followed. So in the context from the cultural point of view, it brings a lot of questions from parents. They will question, and the first question parents actually will say, you are dating, this is your boyfriend, even if you haven't told them or they find you on the street. The first thing they're going to say, if you get somebody pregnant or you become pregnant, you should know where to go. So maybe let me pause there and allow Faith to also add something.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a machine that is making noise. I hope, Doc, you can still be able to hear me.
Yes. Yes, we can. Yes,
Pretty
we
much,
can.
pretty much perfect. Pretty much, I agree with Victor that there is a lot of cultural issues that are coming to play, and one thing that I would like to add, probably before I give it to Jeremiah, is there's a lot of cultural shift also around dating amongst young people. For instance, there's what socialization taught us. If I am going for a date, the first date probably it's the man who is going to pay. The second date and any other nth date, the man is supposed to pay. There's the gender roles that has been distinguished between um, men and women. I hope that noise is not affecting us. Are we
Yeah,
okay?
okay. Yes.
So what I'm saying is there is the distinguished gender roles amongst men and women, but right now what we are seeing is a emerging trend where you find that girls are stepping up even to pay for bills. Girls are stepping up to support men even before they are married. So there are also cultural shifts that are happening around dating that is being embraced. Some people are not embracing it. So I just wanted to mention that there's also we can't mention culture minus mentioning also spiritual alignment, because that is also an important factor, especially in African dating setup. Most Africans are spiritual beings. So those alignments are also happening where people are living probably their spiritual values and principles. Some are embracing their spiritual values and principles. So I see a lot of cultural, ethical, and spiritual shifts even within the dating. So over to you, Jeremiah.
Oh, okay. So thank you very much for that. That has been very insightful. I like your involvement where you have talked about how there's also the spiritual point of view of it, and it's also taken a huge turn on even how we perceive relationships. For example, what Dr. Musonda mentioned to talk about how a relationship ideally is supposed to lead to marriage. So all those have impacted how most people actually perceive relationships. Okay, so our next question, I would like to hear from you. Is there such a thing, or is it possible for somebody to date more than one person? Miss Faith, you can please take it up.
That's a recipe for problems, but it's happening. We've always been told that women can be able to, again, this is a gender issue coming to play, that women can be able to multitask, and multitasking has been cascaded down to how we handle relationship. But then I feel if you are authentic to yourself, where authenticity means the process of also dating comes with a lot of self-awareness, a lot of discovery about oneself, especially for women. That can be a bit difficult if you're having multiple dating partners. So these are my own opinions. So if at all I want to discover um, more of my personality, more of how I handle conflict, how I handle different relationships that is affected by my relationship status, in this case is dating, then it means I may want to really cut down on the number of people I am dating at a go. One thing I've also seen in Kenya is that they define multiple relationship as seeing so many people at different times. For example, I'm seeing Jeremiah, I'm seeing Victor, I'm seeing Isaiah at one different time. But then there are people who also defining it as I am seeing Jeremiah after 1 hour, I am seeing Victor in the next, probably tomorrow. So that is not defined as multiple. But then when you look at it, it's still more of, lack of better term, polygamy, and it brings a lot of chaos even in your mental health. It brings a lot of non-balance even in your mental health, because you find that you are having different people at the same time and you're trying to learn them also at this specific time, and it becomes more of a homework than actually dating. So why should you go through all that trouble while you can only learn one person at one particular period and make your decision out of it? So it's something I will really go against, for the sake of peace of your mind, for the sake of discovering yourself more. So over to you, Doc.
Beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful. I love that very, very much. And we have a lot of interaction from the chat box. I will start with Victoria. Victoria says, "Welcome back, guys. Thank you very much, Victoria." John says, "Dating allows you to know each other before you decide to get married. For me, it's better to separate when you are still dating than to separate when you are married." Very insightful comments there, John. We really appreciate. Hope says, "I agree with Faith. The legal framework approach would be a great application to protect adolescents from negative attitudes that may come with that relationship." Beautiful. Keep them coming. We love your comments. Hudson says, "Good afternoon. I have just joined. I'm enjoying the topic, but maybe before I comment, I would like to find out from the presenters what their specific say is on the topic." Wow. John putting us on the spot right there. I like what you are saying, Faith. And as young people, we say we can do it. I can balance the equation. I can have one in Matero, I can have one in Chalala, I can have one in Kalingalinga. But Faith and Victor, I want you to speak into why is that wrong? Why is it really, really wrong to have a lot of people that you are dating, that you are involved with at one particular time, despite the time factor? Also, maybe speak into why is that wrong in relation to my health? Why is it really wrong?
All right, thank you,
Yes.
Jeremiah. So, um, you know, picking up from what Faith has said, is it wrong to date more than two people? Again, it goes back to why are you dating? Okay,
Mm.
is it okay for a girl to have three friends who are female? There's absolutely everything okay with that. Is it okay? Is it okay for a boy to have three male friends? It's okay. So if it comes to a relationship with the opposite sex, again it goes back to why are these two people going to date? Okay, is it for a purpose of marriage? Then that then brings a different definition of dating. It now may be a relationship or courtship. Okay, but then you also realize that there are advantages and disadvantages of dating, and this is going to help a young person decide whether or not they are going to date or not. But then coming back to your question, the health associated risks to dating at a young age both applies to boys and girls. For girls, one, there's a very high risk of acquiring HIV, and then because the young person is going to indulge in sexual relations at a very young age, what is called an early sexual debut. So if a girl starts indulging in sexual activity when they have not reached the legal age for sexual activity, they are exposing themselves to various sexually transmitted infections. Why? Because their reproductive tract is not yet mature enough to contain the risk associated with indulging themselves in sexual activity. One, their reproductive tract is not yet mature, and so they are prone to acquiring HIV, STIs, cervical cancer, risk of having teen pregnancy, which can also end in having a complicated pregnancy and all the complications that can actually result from getting pregnant at an early stage. So this is quite it's a lot that I can actually mention, but what I may just want to encourage young people, if they are contemplating dating and all that, they should be able to access further guidance from youth-friendly spaces and also healthcare
Mm.
providers, and they'll be able to explain to them the consequences and the risks associated to starting dating and also early sexual intercourse. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, just
Yes,
just to
yes, Faith, please go ahead. Go ahead.
just to build up also on what Victor has said. Dating multiple people, apart from just the burnout and mental issues that it comes with it, it's a very expensive affair. Young people are at a stage where they are not retaining wealth. They are building their wealth right now in terms of finding stability in your career, and that one also comes with a certain pay. You can't say that somebody who has been in employment for 30 years can be paid the same wage probably as you, which means there is a lot of minimal resources that needs to be utilized very well. But if you are seeing more than two people, then it means these resources will also be distributed amongst the people you are dating. This is expensive. Time is also an issue. So if you're also going to distribute your time across these people, it's going to be also expensive for you, which will lead to so many things. In dating, there are issues including conflict management. So if you're going to have conflict with intimate partner one, with partner two, with partner three, I mean, how can you handle that? Because you want to find one person who you understand how you run your conflict issues and how you manage your conflict issues. But um, uh, if there are more than one person, then it means also in terms of conflict management, it will be really burnout for you as individual, and you will find yourself a very sad person in a relationship. You you don't have a goal where you want to achieve. And again, it brings me back to what I said. Why are you dating? So if you're dating for long-term relationship, then it means um, you will be blurred by so many partners, and you will not be able to choose the right one. So yeah.
Wow, that's very amazing. This is really good. So far we have established what really dating is, and the implications of dating more than one person, and so forth and so on. Where I just want I'll just like to get some more understanding on how you would actually define what a healthy dating relationship is. So looking at it from a mental health aspect, because we dealing with young people, you find that because of the many exposures to many relationships, most of them you find are getting into the route of depression and so forth and so on. How then would you define what a healthy dating relationship really is? Dr. Musanda, we can start with you.
All right. So a healthy dating relationship is one which has trust. Okay. Secondly, is one where there's mutual respect and mutual understanding, does not have gender-based violence, which can be in various forms, and also does not expose the person involved, the two people involved, to health risks like HIV, STI, unwanted pregnancies, and all that. And then it's one where there's also a lot of emotional support, and also builds self-esteem, and also makes the other person be more assertive, especially for young people and adolescents. I think there are so many signs, or what I can point out to be signs of a healthy relationship. But I think in the interest of time, I'll just mention these, and also allow Faith to add on to what I've just mentioned.
You read my mind, Doc. And just to add to what you said, um, for me, a healthy relationship is where communication is really seamless. There is no point where partners are checking out on each other just because there is a little bit of difficulty here and there. A healthy a healthy relationship to me is also where emotions are really stable. In case of anything, things are sorted in a sober and in a more mature way, where there is no raising of voices, there is no looking down on each other. So that is just in addition to what Dr. Musonda has said. There really has to be communication, really has to be very seamless for um, dating to be very healthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
over to you, Mike.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Indeed, they say time flies when you are having a good time. Now, Victor, I'm going to come to you. What are your key take home points from this very insightful conversation? Key take home points that our viewers, our listeners can go with at home.
So, because I'm focused on adolescents, I would say wait until the time is right. You have the stage of development. So, adolescents from 10 to 19 years, the focus is on education, acquiring skills that are going to help one later on in life. So, the focus is on acquiring education and skill. But then it's also important that they build the social, the ability to interact with other people, by also having friendship with the opposite sex is important. That's one. But then it should not result in them indulging themselves in early sexual intercourse, because of the risks that are associated with indulging in early sexual activities. And so the other important thing to note is that we have youth-friendly services spread across the country in all the communities. So my encouragement to the adolescents is that when they are in doubt, they don't know what to do, whether to date or not, let them reach out to health-friendly adolescent and youth-friendly services, a counselor, and they'll be able to guide. And then lastly, let them speak to their parents, because parents in our discussion, we haven't included them because that's the way it is. Parents are not so comfortable talking about sex and sexuality with their young people. So it's important that they discuss these things with their parents when they are still growing. Thank you.
Thank you. Faith, what are your concluding comments, your take home points?
Thank you so much. It has been a lovely conversation to have with all of you, and I'm seeing very nice comments running through. And I hope the conversations can happen even offline. My take home is that dating is something that is very beautiful. Dating is a stage that nobody should bypass, especially when you're looking at long-term marriages and settling into marriages. So it's a beautiful thing, and it is something that you should really look forward to, and of course have an agenda. Lastly, is to have these couple friends who are probably have settled into marriage to just walk with you, and people you can really ask for advice in case of any issue, or people to just give you hand holding even during this process. It can become a bit complex. It can become complex. It can become also time consuming, but it's something that is very beautiful. And don't date for long. My advice.
Thank you very, very much to our two lovely guests for those insightful comments. We really, really appreciate. It's been an amazing show. Remember, we were discussing when is the right time for people to start dating. But before we go, I will invite my co-host. What is your take-home point from this conversation?
Thank you very much, Jeremiah. This has been such an amazing discussion. My take-home message, rather my take-home points from this discussion is that it's very important for you to basically wait for the right time for you to get into a relationship and ensure that you have the right company, around you to give you the appropriate advice that you need, because relationships can often be quite complex, and when handled carelessly can actually have the ability to dent your life, devalue you, and also leave you with certain, for example, infections that you have to battle with your whole life. And these may even cause people to slip into issues of depression. So when you have the right people around you and also get into them at the right time, you find that you actually preserve yourself, and even your perception of these relationships changes, because oftentimes those that have gone through broken routes, you find that even their perception of them is really bad, and they don't mind going all out and dating as many people as they can, and that even increases the levels of infection among young people and even those that are innocent. So I would say that has been my main take-home message. Thank you, Jeremiah. Back to you.
Beautiful. My personal take-home point to my pies, my ons, my goozers, my mananas, my gangsters, all of you out there, let's wait for the right time. It's not swag to have 15 girlfriends. Rather, you are just increasing the risk of sexually transmitted infections, HIV, you name it, all of those things. This has been a lovely conversation. Remember, we were discussing when is the right time for people to start dating. Thank you very much to all the comments that came through from Twitter, from Facebook, and from YouTube. We really appreciate. And remember, we will be giving prizes on this particular show, The Real Talk. We have real prizes for you. All you have to do is send us a video of your key take home point from this week's topic, and we will be announcing winners in the next week's show. Let me also take this opportunity to thank our lovely guests. We really appreciate. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the Zambian Youth Platform for this wonderful talk show together with its partners. Until next time, when we have another real topic. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.